Hello and welcome back to this part 20 of modelling a Mustang in Fusion 360. In this episode we're going to be kind of covering the wing mirrors. Recently I finally kind of skimmed through the last bit of footage we've got left, and I think there's only 2 more episodes out of it, so yeah, I thought the next one was going to be the final, but yeah, I've got 2 more episodes coming after this. But anyway, let's get on with the show. So I think the reason why I'm adding wing mirrors, like the bumpers, they're kind of like they're quite big features. It's not like a windscreen, not the windscreen, like a wiper, windscreen wiper, or like an exhaust that's smaller or harder to see. Wing mirrors are always on show, and like probably the part of the car you probably look at most. The front end, really, front/side. So yeah, I felt it was important enough to add these features in. So I'm trying to select a plane that is behind bodies and other planes there. So if you hold hold left click over a plane that's hidden behind something, like, you can still see it, but it's not the closest thing to click on. If you hold down the left click, then you'll get a list of small things that you can select, and I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but I don't know, maybe like 20 episodes ago, not 20, like 15 episodes ago. So yeah, I thought it'd just be worth refreshing on that. And then yeah, when that menu comes up, just select the plane that you want. Yeah, so to create a wing mirror, I want to use the revolve tool, really, because the shape is very conical. If you look at this, not like a modern wing mirror. If it was like a more organics, like modern aerodynamic, I'd probably use the sculpt tool instead. But considering it looks very conical, very concentric, so there doesn't seem to be much point in using anything other than the revolve tool. So that was kind of my decision for that. So yeah, I want to build a plane here, off that line, and I do know how to do this, but I'm tired at this point in the thing. It's like, I think I'm 5 and a bit hours into building this, so I was just trying to shortcut it. And I think realistically, I think it would make sense if you could just click on like a line like this to offset, bring a plane up to. It's quite funny, on the Fusion 360 forums, I often get critical with some features of the program, and I want them improved. It's not because I dislike the program. It's just like, I want it to be easy for everyone. And some people get real funny about, like, I'll just learn the proper way to do things. And like, don't get me wrong, that's a good, do that. But the whole point is trying to make the program better for everyone. But yeah. So here, this is the most like ratchet, like stupid, ridiculous way of creating a plane I think I've ever done. And I honestly, like, looking back at it now, I genuinely don't know why I've done it this way. It's so ridiculous. Basically, what I've done is I've created a body with a flat face, and then I've redefined the sketch plane, so I've brought it out, and now I'm going to use the flat face of this extruded weird shape to create a new plane, which anyone with experience on these programs is going to be looking at me like I'm insane. And really, I don't blame them for it, but that's how I've created the plane there. It's honestly just moronic. Yeah, all you have to do is like just go to construct, offset plane. You could offset the XY plane. I think that's the XY plane, and just drag it up to it. But yeah, ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. I think with making these sort of things, I'd love to have like the blueprints of a car, like a car's part list, like any car part list, but so I could actually model a car like accurately, like not just kind of accurately, but I mean like 100% accurately. I think it'd be interesting to compare like between a car that I've gone off of image modeling and one that I've gone off of like inputting numbers and for coordinates. Yeah. And so there, again, it's quite a bizarre way of doing it, creating this circle, moving it down from the side-on view. And the reason why I do that is because then I can get it at least in line with this the side canvas. But you can see there it's miles too far out. Yeah, I think as well. I think I put in another like arbitrary dimension, which I spoke about in last week's episode, where it's just like a near whole number. And you just tend to do that in a lot of design. I think I do 75 here. Yeah, and yeah, I don't know why that is really. Like, it's completely random if you think about it properly. It's because you want it to be accurate to the shape, but I've just gone 75. That's probably what they've used. Bear in mind, it's an American car, so it would have been done in imperial units anyway. At the time, I would have thought. I'm not saying for sure it was, but I would have thought it would have been done in imperial units. So, from a metric value, it wouldn't. It would hardly be a whole integer. But yeah, bizarre, really. So there are a few ways to kind of extrude this out, and the quick, like, what I opt for is to try and use the cylinder tool briefly before going to the extrude tool. And the cylinder tool, I've never really used it. I've never seen any advantage of using the cylinder tool over sketching a circle and using the extrude tool. It's quicker. Like, if you wanted me to rapidly like make an inaccurate cylinder, like I could click the cylinder tool, just click a sketch plane and create a quick cylinder, and I don't know, export it. If you just wanted a generic like looking cylinder, but if you actually want to control it, like, I know you can control it with that tool, but I find it so much easier to just create a circle in a sketch. Also, it makes your kind of hierarchy on the left, the feature tree, seem a bit more organized if you have like sketches and corresponding bodies. I usually try and name them similar things, especially more recently. So there are a few ways of creating this wing mirror, and as you can expect, this is the worst way I could have done it. So stupidly, I try to fillet it. I literally begs belief. So I try to fillet it into that shape. And in an ideal world, like, you would just click on a tool and it would do exactly what you'd hope it might. But obviously a fillet tool doesn't work like that. A fillet tool is going to do a radial edge, or you can change it to a chord edge, whatever. But creating that shape just from creating a cylinder and using the fillet tool it's not going to happen. So the quickest way to do this would be to sketch the cross-sectional kind of analysis of the wing mirror. So that's basically, if you took the wing mirror and you cut it in half, you'd be looking at the cross-sectional analysis. And then you would just sketch that section and split it down the middle. And then you could use the revolve tool and create the shape of the wing mirror. Or if you were feeling a bit more fancy, and you wanted to create the bit that goes down to the car in a very fluid way as well. So the bit, because obviously it's not just a floating cylinder, it connects to the car via kind of a little thin pole shape sort of thing. You would use the loft surface feature. So that's in the surface workshop, like surface area. And you'd use the loft tool. there's quite a few really great tutorials on YouTube. I would just type in like Fusion 360 loft surface to learn about probably the best way of doing this. But if you're just like me, just trying to make a functional model, don't think you have to worry too much about it. Yeah. So again, I've created this plane here by clicking offset plane and clicking the cylinder, but sometimes that won't work. Probably the best way to do it is you should select the construct kind of menu at the top of the page. Then you should select create axis through cylinder, and then you select the cylinder, and that will create an axis that goes right through the middle, dead central. And then you want to go back to the construct feature at the top, and then select plane at angle, and then you select that axis that you've just created, and then specify kind of the angle it's at, and that would be a much better way of making sure that, say if the cylinder gets moved, that it's not going to mess up your geometry. So yeah. And kind of here it's I'm sketching out that kind of shape, and I think I'll go to fillet as well. Yeah. And obviously basically what's happened there is it's trying to fillet the curve to the center line going through the middle, and that's why it went off on that weird tangent. But what you can do is if you select the fillet tool and then select the two lines you want, rather than trying to just select a corner, it should fillet it correctly. But this is a weird way of doing it, because what I'm actually doing here is I've created the cylinder, and then I'm going to revolve a cut around it to create that shape. And what I could have done in the first place is to just revolve, like extruded something, so created the shape using the revolve tool, rather than creating a cylinder and then creating a shape by taking away material. So yeah, it is it's not the most conventional way of doing it. I think kind of since about the 3-hour mark going through my videos, there have been some very questionable decisions. But I think it's good anyway, because at least you'll learn that doing it this way is the wrong way. I mean, this video is quite heavily cut down. Not quite yet, but there's some quite heavy cuts approaching. Just because I think it takes in total 33 minutes before I've created the two wing mirrors successfully, and they look like the shape, and they've got the bit that stretches down to the car. So I've had to cut a lot of that out. It's a lot of stupid errors, just kind of decisions like I'm making now on screen. So if you notice that profile isn't highlighted at the top, that tells me it's not fully sealed, and I should have noticed that at the time. Like, you can see how the sketch to the left is highlighted, but not the bit at the top that I want to create that revolve cut with. And I should realistically spot this straight away. I don't notice it until I go into the actual revolve feature. So there we go. I'm trying to set the profile. I can't set the profile because it hasn't been sealed. Yeah. I think if you're gonna do like a model of a car, I would say choose like an older car, because a lot of their shapes are quite although the bodies are quite organic, all the other kind of things on them are very symmetrical and very easy to do. I think probably the easiest car you could do is probably it's not so old, but when Ford Focuses, they started using CAD, all their shapes were very rounded and circular, so they were quite easy to model. Anyway, so after this unsuccessful bit, I'm going to cut ahead to show you a bit further on. So there we go, sort of done. So now I've created the sketch, and it looks done once I've done the cut. Except it's not perfect. It's very pointy, which the actual shape is not on the canvas. The side view of it. So we're gonna move on a bit later now. So I've changed it so we've got the curves in. I didn't want to show you how to do this because this should be pretty basic to you. The only reason why it took me so long is literally my brain was just baked at this point. I wasn't high, but like I just mean I was knackered. So yeah, there's that. Then there's this additional bit. So all I've done is drawn a sketch below it, a rectangle, and extruded upwards to the body and downwards to the car body to create the bit that joins the two, and that creates it to look like that. There we go. And then finally mirroring them across, so just mirroring the parts across. What I could have done before mirroring them across is combining the wing mirror and the bit that joins to the car as like one body, but still got the job done. That's the two wing mirrors on. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this series. 2 more to go.